Welcome to the day of Wellbeing. So here I am up on a lovely Dartmoor. I might at the end of this video do a little panorama. I'm sitting in my car. I've had this idea for a video about the courage to fail. Now I think this is a really important topic. So the courage to fail. I read a book a while back called Black Box Thinking, and it was a brilliant book, kind of mind-blowing in many ways, and it talked about why aviation is so safe, okay, compared to medicine. That's the kind of particular contrast that they make. So aviation, so you're flying above the sky, however many miles up, however many hundreds of miles an hour, hundreds of tons of metal. How's that a safe thing to do? I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? It's like, why would that be not like disastrous every time? And then medicine, where there are still a lot of medical errors, and a lot of death and suffering comes about through malpractice or failure, not always because of any kind of malice or bad intent, but systemic problems, or simply giving the wrong treatment or whatever. And it talks about the cultures behind these two, how in medicine it's very hard to own up to a mistake because there's all sorts of issues around status and authority and litigation and all this kind of stuff. And how in aviation, because it kind of had to be that way, this culture has emerged of we learn from our mistakes. And in a way, obviously we don't want mistakes to happen, but at least we can draw solace from the fact that it's unlikely to happen again because we got all the information in the black box, and the entire industry is going to learn from that mistake. And in fact, it said in the book that as long as there's no gross misconduct, there's actually no penalty for errors, as long as they're reported within 2 weeks of occurring. And this is really interesting. So I think it goes right back to our schooling. I've been a maths teacher in my life. For some of it, I've done various different things. And there's this culture, certainly in England, of like maths trauma. It's like a genuine thing. Like, right, talk to me about maths. Don't ask me that question because it's going to take me right back to school where I'm terrified, and I got it wrong. And, I felt humiliated in front of the whole class. The crazy thing is, right, if you are not entirely comfortable with getting it wrong, it's almost impossible to learn anything, because there's going to be this constant sense of I can't try anything because I'll get told off if I get it wrong, and so I have to stay within what I already know. Yeah, you see the problem here? I stay within what I already know so that I can't fail, because failure is painful. And this is a terrible thing when it comes to learning culture. And I think we take it forward into our lives in all sorts of different areas, including personal development, where it's like, well, I can't acknowledge that I need to change because that would mean how I am currently is wrong, and I can't be wrong because being wrong is painful, because the message society gave me was being wrong is bad, right? Failing is bad. So I think this whole thing is totally disastrous. I think some activities in life can make us a little bit more comfortable with this failure if we are in the habit of learning difficult stuff, because maybe we have to for our career. So for instance, I did a lot of learning around computer programming and software development. I found myself very often in the position of asking questions on forums like, how do I do this? This didn't work. Why didn't it work? Boom, boom, boom. And you get to a certain comfort level with like understanding that you don't know. It's like, it's really difficult stuff and you don't know it. Some people do know it. You need the input. So you're like, please give me the information, It's just not an issue. And I think there's a real problem around, it can manifest as kind of pride and arrogance and like, I know it already, but I think underneath it is like this kind of cultural trauma around being vilified for getting it wrong. And so we're not generally, I think, very open to receiving new information in a way that's just natural and easy, and it's like, oh yeah, I got it, I got it wrong, or my perspective wasn't complete, or whatever. And this also manifests in like political and ideological discussions, where as well as ourselves, the way we evaluate other people's arguments, and this whole kind of paradigm of kind of adversarial dialogue, where it's like, I have this position and you have that position, and we're not particularly interested in like exploring together what might be true and what might be false in both of our perspectives to kind of come to a composite picture that's closer to the truth. It's more like, I'm right, you're wrong, and the other person thinks I'm right and you're wrong, and we just have this terrible inability really to kind of recognize the faults in our own perspectives and our own reasoning. There's a lot of cognitive biases as well. This is something that I think people are becoming more aware of. There's these kind of systemic errors in the way that we reason that don't make us stupid. They're just kind of evolutionary. And even when we're aware of them, we're prone to them. So let alone if we're not aware of them, things like confirmation bias, survivorship bias, there's loads of them. It's a really interesting topic I might get into in a different video. But yeah, the basic idea here is have the courage to fail. And it's fine to fail, because every time you fail, you get more information. There's that kind of classic story. I think it was Edison, was it, with the light bulbs? It was like the 1000th or something light bulb. All the other ones have been failures, right? But he didn't see that as a bad thing. That was just like information about what doesn't work. And the same with the Hoover. I heard the story of the invention of the Hoover at one point. The guy that, I think it was Dyson, that invented all these like new improvements like filters and suction mechanisms. And it was all about, you know, what we have now is not perfect. You know, we have to acknowledge it's not good in order to find the motivation and, you know, the, what they say, you know, innovation, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention, that kind of thing. You know? So that's the point. Okay, so it's okay to fail. Okay, and in fact, you should maybe even practice it, right? As a kind of, if you're into these kind of challenges in life, like life exercises, like, you know, go out and fail. Yeah. Try, you know, some ridiculous situation, like maybe you see a girl that you fancy at the bar, and you know, it's like, I'm going to go and chat her up and it's going to go horribly wrong, but it doesn't matter. Obviously have some sensitivity, don't be stupid with it. But, you know, I'm saying, you know, getting comfortable with failing is very, very liberating. And then obviously the end goal isn't I want to be failing all the time. The point is I want to be improving, and I recognize that in order to improve, I need to fail, I need to learn from my mistakes in order to improve. So the paradox is that, you know, by failing, you're more likely to succeed. I'm just going to show you this lovely landscape up on Dartmoor near Vinford. So there it is, folks. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this kind of material, and I'll see you in the next video.